What's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave, and I'm here to give you a quick breakdown between Mairis Briedis and Opetaia. All right, this fight is going to be this Saturday on Fight TV. So if you have the app, if you have it, you can watch it on Fight TV. That's the only way you can watch it here in the US. Now, if you're out in Australia, which is where this fight is taking place, you have to pay the pay-per-view. Okay, but here in the US, Eastern time, it's going to be 5 a.m. in the morning. Being that this fight is in Australia, it's going to be early in the morning, and I should be waking up early to cover the fight. All right, I'm going to try to get up early to cover this fight because I'm really interested in this fight and curious to see how this can go. All right, so this fight is going to be for the IBF cruiserweight title. Okay, for Briedis' title, of course. Opetaia. Not a lot out there, okay? Australian fighter. He's 27 years old. In fact, he turned 27 today on the 30th, okay? And former Olympian. He was in the 2012 Olympics, I believe. Only has 21 professional fights, 17 knockouts, but he just hasn't fought any competition. This is a huge gap from what we've seen. Southpaw fighter, tall. He's 6'3", all right? 6'3" at cruiserweight is pretty tall, 70-inch reach. And get into what he brings to the table in a minute. We got Mairis Briedis, who's older, 37 years old, vet. All right, he's 28 wins, 20 knockouts, and 1 defeat. All right, and we all know that that was against Alexander Usyk, and one of the all-time greatest cruiserweight matchups of forever. You know, one of the best fights in this generation. It was a great fight. So with that loss, not the worst loss, of course, but it still counts as a loss. All right. He's an orthodox fighter, and he's defended his title a couple of times since he won. Oh, in fact, no, he won this title against Junior Dorticos, in which he won the World Boxing Super Series Season 2. All right. Had one fight since then against Man, and now he's back in the ring. Now, this fight was very hard for me to decide because, you know, there's not much on Opetaia out there. It's not a lot of footage. Okay, a lot of highlight videos. You know, I was trying to look for full fights of him instead of more like highlights, and I wasn't really able to detect many flaws in his game because the few fights that I've seen and some of his Olympic fights as well, can't really count the Olympic fights. But the recent fights that I seen, the highlights that I was able to find, wasn't able to really see much flaws there. Okay, he's very tall, he's very rangy, he's good, you know, at maintaining the distance, keeping the distance. Not much of an inside fighter, but has a lot of power. Okay, great athletic fighter, very fast, moves extremely well, has a slickness to him for sure, and great reflexes. In fact, he relies on his reflexes a lot when it comes to his defense. All right, but there's not enough out there. He's very explosive. Yes, he's quick. He has power. You can tell by the KO ratio. All right, he's very good. All right, even in the Olympics when he was only like 17 years old, he looked very good. Even back then. Okay, the thing is, there's not much out there to really say. You know, when you look at even his most recent fights, these guys are not at the elite level, and Briedis is one of the best cruiserweights that's out there, period. All right. So with that being, I mean, we're talking about like a pound for pound area type of fighter in Briedis. So when we're comparing, it's really hard to tell because the thing with Briedis is not only is he 37 years old, he hasn't been that active, basically just fighting once a year, but he is coming off of COVID. All right, this fight was actually pushed back twice because he had COVID, and then Jai had a rib injury, some sort of rib injury, so they had to delay the fight twice. But as we've seen, fighters that's come and returned to COVID, some of them have not looked the same on their return from COVID. So it's really hard to tell, especially at his age. Don't really know how much Briedis has left in the tank. Also, he hasn't really fought, and in his last fight against Man, I watched the fight. It was a third round knockout. You know, we didn't get much from him in that fight. We didn't get a lot of rounds. And it didn't look like a fight that he was really motivated for. You know what I mean? I think outside of Dorticos, he hasn't looked that great since he lost to Alexander Usyk. Okay. I think the McKellian fight, I might be saying his name wrong. I think Noel McKellian. All right. That's a fight that I saw. Didn't look good at all. In fact, I thought McKellian won the fight. I know there was people leaving comments about him being injured in that fight. It's very possible, but that fight, he didn't look good. All right. But he's facing a southpaw in Opetaia. And he has a lot of experience fighting southpaw. Mike Perez, Alexander Usyk, of course. And you also have Krzysztof Glowacki, very controversial fight. I believe I was covering that fight live. I can't remember, but I remember talking about the fight, at least doing a review on it, or if not, covering it live. And that's one of those fights that should have been revisited, you know, because of all the fouls and the poor reffing in that fight. But yeah, so he has a lot of experience with southpaws, and plus he has a lot of experience. Period. You know, in those 28 fights, he's fought. I mean, he even went up to heavyweight and knocked out Manuel Char. You know, with one shot. All right, and Manuel Char was like the junior WBA champion like forever. So look, as far as experience and just level of oppositions, it's two different levels. All right. But it doesn't mean the young buck can't come up and do his thing and take the win. It's just that unlike like when you compare like a Ben Rodriguez, for example, you know, or a Boots Ennis or Virgil Ortiz or other guys that, you know, have stepped up and beat guys that were more experienced in them and stuff like that. This is a little different because Briedis is like a pound for pound level fighter. He might not be in your 10, but I think he's still one of the top 20 fighters in the world. If he's not, we haven't seen yet. No one's proven that he's fell off completely. We just assume it because of the fact that he's been, you know, he hasn't been that active. He's getting up there in age. He's 37 years old. But no one has actually proven that he's fallen off. And even though he didn't look good in a McKellian fight, even though he didn't well, he beat Dorticos, and that was a good win. I mean, he pretty much shut him out. So with that being said, it's not really proven yet that he's not at that elite level anymore. You know what I'm saying? And we saw what he did to Usyk, and we have to bring that fight up because Usyk is one of the top 3 pound for pound fighters in the world, in my opinion, and he's been for quite some time now. Went on to move up to heavyweight, picked up a couple of wins, beat Anthony Joshua, and you know, Briedis did way better against Usyk than Anthony Joshua did. You know, I mean, Briedis damn near won the fight. You know, I remember watching the fight, and you know, a different set of judges that day might have gave it to Briedis. You know, especially because it was in his hometown. Close fight. I edged it for Usyk. I just thought he had a round over Briedis in that fight. You know, barely won the fight. But it was a very, very close fight. And we never seen Usyk get hit that much. You know? But with all that being said, it really all depends on how good Jai is. I don't know how good is he. How good is he? How durable is he? How is he going to be able to deal with someone that's coming towards him and pressuring him? All right? With Briedis and his style, he's very versatile. Okay, he attacks the body well. He can fight on the inside. His fundamentals are on point. Great technique, good counterpunching, good timing. Power too. Power on top of that. All right. Good defense as well. All right. He's a very, really crafty fighter, and he can bang at the same time. And he's shown us to have great stamina, great fitness. Okay. Again, outside of certain fights, the Mike Perez fight, which was my first experience of watching him, I wasn't impressed, you know, because it was just an ugly fight, a lot of holding and stuff like that. Didn't look good there because, of course, the McKellian fight, he didn't look good. Yeah, there's certain fights where he didn't look that great. All right, but at the very elite level, he's looked great. All right, when he fought Dorticos, he shut him out. All right, when he fought Usyk, he damn near won the fight. All right. He was in control at a lot of points in that Usyk fight. All right. So with that being said, with his experience and everything, I think Jai has a chance of winning based on how long he can fight at. I know he's going to come out fresh, sharp, looking good. All right. He has the slickness to him. He has the athleticism. All right. He's been a little bit more active than he should be. He's younger. And he's hungrier. You know what I'm saying? He's been there. I believe that Jai is going to come out and he's going to look sharp and he's going to win some of the earlier rounds. All right. The thing is, though, the pressure. You know, this is a guy. Briedis is a guy that was making Usyk fight on his back foot, forcing him against the ropes, putting pressure on him. He's usually always coming forward. All right. What is going to happen when Jai gets hit? You know, what is going to happen when he gets hit to the body? What's going to happen when he gets the uppercut? You know, he gets countered with an uppercut. What's going to happen when he has to deal with the combinations of Briedis? All right. And Briedis, I feel like as the rounds go on, he's going to adjust to his opponent. We've seen that. That's a proven thing that we know. Whereas Jai, we don't really know what he can do. What adjustments can he make? If things are not working out, what happens next is a big question mark. Yes, he looks very good now against the opponents he's been facing. He looks very, very good. All right. And I'm not saying he's not capable of doing it. It's just that when it comes to predictions, I kind of stick with, and I'm not always right. You guys know it. I'm wrong a lot. But when it comes to predictions and when it comes to like fights like this, where a fighter that's kind of unknown, there's not a lot of footage out there. There's no similarities in like any of the fighters that he's faced. I don't know what he can do on an elite level. This is a huge jump, and I don't know how he's going to look in the second half of the fight. I don't know how durable he is. So I'm going to go with the guy that I know. And even though he's older, even though he's coming into the fight from post-COVID, right? I know what Briedis is capable of. And if this was a time where I'm picking a prime Briedis, someone that I know, I'm familiar with, I've seen him all these years, I'm going with him. Think the only thing that I have worries about is his age, the COVID. Is he still hungry? He was chasing Jake Paul all year round. Kind of lost me as a fan, to be honest with you, as a fan, and that has nothing to do with my pick. As a fan, I lost the rap music he did, just the Super Mario coming to the ring, and the antics is not for me. And I never seen him act out of character like that before. I think the only thing I dislike about him is some of the dirty tactics in the ring at times. But this whole stuff with Jake Paul kind of lost me as a fan. And it makes me wonder if he's still like really hungry, But outside of that, I still think he's the better talent. Jai has a lot of potential. But it all begins after this fight, Moving forward, I can just sit here and tell you how good Jai is on the next prediction. If Jai wins this fight and he goes on to fight Okoli in the future, I can say, well, this is what he did with Briedis. But as of right now, and based on the opponents he's faced, he's never faced a guy that brings the things that Briedis brings. The feinting, it's just so much he does. The movement, you know what I'm saying? The guy that's able to change levels at will. He's very, very versatile fighter. He's very, very technically sound. And Jai has not fought anyone on that level or even close to it up to this point. So I'm going with Briedis. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. I don't really know if it's going to be a prediction because I don't know what Jai is capable of. All right. But I'm going to go with Briedis simply because I know what he can do on his best day. And if he's coming at his absolute best, not sleeping on Jai, I still think he's going to find a way to pull off a win. All right. Now, if this goes to a decision and it's a close fight, yes, it's possible that, Jai could get the win in Australia. You know how the game works. It's his boxing, and, you know what it is. If it's close, I can see Jai getting the win. But Briedis really puts on, you know, and hopefully he's motivated. A motivated Briedis wins this fight. So I'm going to stick with him, and I got him winning this one, all right? Anyway, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please smash that like button, share the video, and I will definitely try to get my ass up early and cover this fight live, because I love this fight, because I want to see what Jai is really capable of. Hopefully he's just not another fluke, but I want to see what he's capable of, right? So anyway, I'll see you guys on the next one.